Have you ever just started a project and immediately regret it? This is that project. Hello, the time has finally come to do something about the walls in the garage gym. I have something a little bit more ambitious than just plastering, mudding, whatever you call that. See, I don't even know what it's called. This is gonna be a shit show. In my head, there is a vision of a brick wall. I've always wanted a brick wall waterfall, girl, you think you know it all, in the house. Like, exposed brick wall is such a vibe. I don't have that. However, I do have a wall that's entirely stucco in the gym. Now, that's not an advantage. That's just what it is. But I'm thinking if we skim coat that and put some kind of texture on the wall. Like, I watched a Rachel Maxey video of her sculpting a stone wall, and I think that I could do this with bricks. And seeing as January is the month of refresh, I figured no better time than finally upgrade the garage gym so you don't have to look at the exposed drywall when I'm working out. And also it has the added benefit of plugging some holes in that beach. So once it starts warming up, it's not a spider haven, which it currently is, even in winter. Next thing we have to do is unfortunately not getting straight into the drywall like I want to. It's some prep work in the form of prying off these large pieces of wood that are somehow nailed to the stucco. So far things are happening very, very slowly. I was hoping to get this done in 2 days. It's looking like it's gonna be an all of 2024 project based on trying to take out this one board that has 9-inch nails, not the band, in the wall. Why? I don't know. If I were a screwdriver, where would I be? Is the question. Feel like, oh, it feels okay. Okay, we're ready to go. I don't know what I'm doing. Just spreading this stuff on the walls like peanut butter. However, unlike peanut butter, I believe this is what made me sick. I was healthy, and then that night, after inhaling joint compound all day without any protective wear, I got really sick. And yada yada yada, you guys know the story. So I had to abandon this project for weeks. So consider this a PSA to wear protection even if the project you're doing isn't smelly. Anyways, a couple of weeks later, I was back at it again, this time with a respirator. And can I just say the act of smearing mud on the ceiling is not a fun or great time. But it's taken to another level of neither fun nor great when you throw a large immovable object in the mix. And that is this functional trainer. Because not to get all Lord of the Rings on y'all, but one does not simply move the FT2 Inspire functional trainer. One has to swaddle it in plastic and squeeze their fat ass around it to try to smear mud on the walls. But once that was done, every other part of the ceiling was substantially easier, so perspective is important, I guess. So I woke up this morning with a very sore throat, and if you've been following my channel, you know that I keep getting sick. And upon some Googling, I realized that maybe it's because I have acute pneumonitis And I know it's one of those things like you shouldn't self-diagnose and whatever else, but when the doctor only tests you for 3 things and you've gone 4 times in the last 4 months, it's probably time to start taking things into your own hands, because if it's not COVID, strep, or the flu, nobody is going to help you. That's the lesson that I learned. But it just makes sense because every single time I've gotten sick since the initial sickness, it's been brought on initially by inhaling something that irritates my lungs. And why isn't this snapping on? But yeah, the point of me saying all that was I went to Lowe's and I got this thing that I can't seem to put together right now to try to beef up lung security. Well, it's all mudded. Everything the light touches. I did not do it well. It's the next day. I got all of the primary mudding done yesterday, and today we're going to be working on an accent wall. And if you're thinking it was just going to be boring and white, you're wrong. But what we're going to work on now is taping off like a brick pattern in that long wall where there used to be just stucco. Still going to wear this, so if you're thinking that it looks like overkill and I don't need to wear that, I don't know what my deal is. My lungs are sensitive ass bitches. They just are not having any of it. I don't know if you could tell too much, but if my neck looks extra fat, it's because my lymph nodes are pretty puffy. Okay, here's the part where I give the wall the razzle dazzle. And if this is some bullshit that you'd like to do to your own dwelling, I'll tell you exactly what I did and how I did it. Right now, I'm taping off the cement lines for the faux brick wall. The width of the painter's tape that I used was a bit too wide, and sawing a roll of tape in half did not work out at all. So I'm just taping a line and then running an X-Acto knife about halfway through it, and then using the other half of the tape for the next line. This was a tedious process and took an eternity, but I wasn't trying to make it perfect, so that cut down on some time. Actually, imperfections are kind of encouraged when it comes to giving something character, so that notion was helpful. After getting everything taped off, I slapped a very thick coat of joint compound on top of everything, probably about 1/4 of an inch thick, but in hindsight I wish I would have gone a bit thicker to give it more depth, but honestly that would probably have taken my whole life to dry, and I don't have that kind of time. But anyways, while it was still wet, I peeled the tape off. I feel like if I had waited till it was dry, it would not have worked as well. It probably would have crumbled off or not come off at all, honestly. So while it's wet is the key, but it does get insanely messy really fast, so be careful about that. Okay, listen, the faux brick wall effect is everything. It's just giving texture, it's giving visual interest. Slapping the joint compound on there thickly and willy-nilly paid off because it's pretty darn effective. However, I don't know if you could see or not because I have the white balance turned up in hopes that it's somehow going to help the dark circles under my eyes, but there's some slight variation of color on the wall, and that's because there are pockets of it that are not dry yet. So there's gonna be no fun painting of the brick wall today, which I'm really nervous and also looking forward to because the paint job can make or break the entire thing. But what I'm going to be focusing on today is the more tedious aspect of it all, which is sanding the rest of the walls and painting them white, which no one is excited for. I feel like this project is taking my entire life. She is just wearing down on me. Have you ever just started a project and immediately regret it? This is that project. The sanding is going to be a respiratory nightmare. But luckily, it's the weekend, so Steven can help me and he won't be working. Glad we saved the excruciating part for him. me I look like Grimace. We did it, squad. It took probably 3 years off my life and an eternity longer than what I thought this project was gonna be. Bitch, I was thinking that this was gonna be done in like 3 days. It's like 2 months later. We ran into some trials and tribulations. I don't know if I will ever not be sick at this point, but the gym is now fully functional and a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Granted, I did not know what I was doing the entire time, but bestie, we figured it out and it looks okay. Because what do we call DIY projects that look just like a little bit shitty? Like, you could tell a professional did not do this work. We call it artisan, and we charge 3 times more for it. The drywall texture technique I used was called half sanding because I didn't want my lungs to implode, even though I was wearing a mask. And the bricks turned out just like a little bit more flat looking than I wanted. It could have been remedied with, you know, a little bit more zhuzhing with the paint, but girl, you can only sponge a wall for so long. There still are a couple of things that I have to do. I have to buy some outlet covers and figure out how to do trim for around the windows and doors. That's not gonna be a today thing. Or maybe even a this year thing, because I'm just kind of considering it aesthetic at this point. Like, it's still fully functional. I can work out in here. It's great. It feels clean. It feels contained. But yeah, other than a couple more passes with the mop and bringing in all the plates and dumbbells, we're ready to go. Anyways, I just want to thank you so much for watching and excuse me for not posting anything on my channel because for some reason in my brain, this project consumed me entirely and I really didn't do anything else film worthy. But other than that, I just hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you on the next one. Bye!